If you look at the patients who come from a psychiatric hospital, you will see that they come from all sorts of places. They come from the town and they come from the country. They have to leave the places where they work and the homes where they have lived. Being in hospital is always a great change, but I suppose it is not so bad being in a psychiatric hospital as it is being in a general hospital. At least in a psychiatric hospital, one does have one's clothes on, one is able to go out of doors, and one is able to lead something approaching a normal, but all the same, it is a strange life, leaving behind not only the people one has known and lived with, but indeed all that has become part and parcel of one's everyday existence. Hospital, in any hospital, one soon gets the feeling that time is suspended and that one is there for an indefinitely long period. And what can be done to make time go more quickly and profitably? Discussion groups are a good thing, but they don't go on, and they can't go on all day. Something has to be done to give patients something to do during the greater part of the waking day. There is, of course, industrial therapy, but since a quota always has to be fulfilled, work in industrial therapy units tends to be entirely repetitive and monotonous, and patients have to be kept on tasks for a long time in order to become efficient. It is a good thing for people to get out of doors. Ask yourself, how long ago is it that the average patient, let alone the average householder, had a meal out of doors? The summer is often long and beautiful. Why not take advantage of the sunshine and the fresh air? If you walk around the grounds of a psychiatric hospital in the summer, you won't see anybody out of doors. Games are enjoyable. They're not meant to be reserved entirely for the young and for those who are good at them. Everybody can get some fun, and I think that is what games are really for. It's a good thing for patients and nurses to be doing this together. The spirit of comradeship grows up like. Only those who've been in hospital, in any hospital, for a long time, know how cramping it is to bounded by walls or even by an occupational therapy department. All these patients are elderly. They all have great handicaps. Most of them can only just walk. But they will get better, and some of them will leave hospital if they have a nice time and they're constantly stimulated and having to think and to use their joints. We're not going to say that bowls is everybody's game. Of course it isn't. Hardly anybody has ever played it. But as a game, it is a test of skill, and patients can see if they are improving. Ladies in particular enjoy it. The great thing about a psychiatric hospital is that it is always possible to introduce volunteers and to get students to come and work in their vacations. If you see that girl in blue, she is only working here during her vacation, but she does add a touch of freshness and new interests. If you look at the field, you will see there are all sorts of games going on in the background, and you should ask yourself, in how many hospitals is the cricket field regarded as being sacred and as a place only to be used by the nursing staff on their rare games of cricket with other hospitals? Surely we should say to ourselves that our hospital is for our patients, and its grass should provide facilities for their recreation. How pleasant it is for men and women to be doing things together. Everything goes better when the sexes are thus mixed in some common activity. Some of them are difficult, some of them are nice, but it is most unusual to get any trouble when the sexes are together. Everybody's behaviour seems to improve. You'll find female nurses are good for male patients, and young male nurses will get females who are trying to behave much better than they will for nurses of their own sex. They've never played croquet before. Perhaps they're not really playing a particularly sound game of it now. And you can be sure that they will never play again when they leave. This race was won by a patient. The student nurse who was with them took part in it, and he tried to win, but he was badly beaten. And in all activities, the staff should be regarded as being as one with the patients. If a patient spends the morning on athletics, the great thing is to see that he does something else in the afternoon, and through the variety of events, everybody has a chance to be doing something which is better than his colleagues. In the course of 2 hours on athletics, all sorts of different sports can be carried out: jumping, shot putting, discus, hurdling, and a sprint. Assumption is that women don't like exercise and they don't like games. Often they will do things much better if they have a male nurse with them. No one wants to see great performances, but to teach people to play games with which they are unfamiliar is to stimulate their brains and their interests and to give them a sense of achievement. gives all sorts of opportunities for having a joke and for stopping and talking about things. Every nurse will say that the great problem is to see that activities are really meaningful. And to get the best out of sports and athletics generally, you must have rules. When measuring the distances people throw weights or how high they jump, the great thing is to put the record in a book so that patients know, and the following day they can see if they have improved or not. After all, no one would play football without having goals. Every summer, every hospital has the opportunity to send patients away for a holiday. And where could be nicer than the seaside? The great thing is to see that those who go are those who indeed are mentally ill and who are most in need of a holiday because they will never get one anywhere else. The nurses who go with them should be the nurses who look after them in the wards from which they come, and the party must be mixed. Males and females always behave better together than they will separately. In the course of a fortnight, there are bound to be bad days, and if this looks more like November than it does May, well, there are bound to be sunny days to follow. At the seaside, as at home in the hospital, there must be a routine, and it must be down on paper. If there is no routine, you will find that people do the same thing all the time, and variety is the essence of life. If the day's activities are not set down on paper, patients will continue doing the same thing all the time. In the morning, perhaps there will be games, in the afternoon, a walk along the beach. The evening can be spent on collecting shells or fossils, and how agreeable it is to get away from hospital routine and to have all meals out of doors, with men and women sitting at the same table. activities which are worth doing do carry with them some risk. Cliffs, deep water, rough seas, hard games all provide hazards, but there is no sense of achievement in doing what is absolutely safe. Who would willingly see these patients spending their time in the industrial therapy workshop? Indeed, the word therapy hides the fact that for most patients, industrial therapy is just a matter of drudgery. With change, games and things to do, what opportunities there are for having fun and for patients and nurses learning to know each other much better. Like and respect follow naturally. The great trouble all schizophrenics have is in making happy emotional relationships with other people, and surely this is best done by activities such as these rather than the workbench or sitting round in discussion groups talking over the errors of the past. What we all want to do is to build confidently for the future. At the end of a camp, what a good thing it is to have something different. And a barbecue on the last night is something for everybody to look forward to. Patients, as you can see, are ill and have been ill for a great many years. The prospects of their getting better spontaneously are nil. How easy it would be to take people to a camp who are almost well, but that would be a very poor way of doing things and would only deceive people. dementia is a term which is used far too often. If the nurses take the trouble to sit down and talk to these patients and to ask them questions and to learn from them what they have done in the past, they will find that most old people, commonly written off, are surprisingly intelligent and can not only remember what happened years before, but are able to learn about things which are entirely new to them. Always make sure that classes and activities have both sexes in them. With painting, you don't want to produce an art school, but how nice for people to know that once or twice a week there is the variety of doing something which is entirely strange to them. What is the common thing in all these activities? I suppose some sense of corporate achievement. This looks a bit odd. No one quite knew what it was about. It looked like a new art form. This peculiar thing is not a dinosaur brooding over the past. It's meant to represent a mother holding her child. It was made of gas piping and caused a great deal of trouble. A certain amount of amusement too. There was some talk of it being sent to Venice. How nice it is to sing songs. They should be unfamiliar songs, and in the summer, what fun to do it out of doors.
Down in the valley so low, and your head over, hear the wind blow, hear the wind blow.
This garden was made out of nothing. How easy it would have been to have taken a large group of patients and got them to work at it month after month and to have produced the same effect quickly. But that would be defeating the object of the exercise, which is to give people variety. Whole generations of patients working for a few hours a week have all contributed something to this. Working here, perhaps in the afternoon, in the morning, they had played some competitive game. Here are a group of beginners. They're not playing very well, but you can see they are having some fun out of it. Not quite Olympic standard. Will be next week. Fives is a game which could easily be played in any hospital. All that is wanted is a wall, a flat surface, a hard ball, a stout pair of gloves, and a certain amount of agility. An excellent game for patients and for nurses because it can be picked up very quickly. No game can last for more than 10 minutes. Great deal of exercise can be taken while playing it, and it provides a good deal of fun. Apart from the service, the side walls can be played off. If you lose a point, you serve, and you play up to 13. Singles give you most exercise, but doubles can be played, and then the court is rather lengthened. This game is excellent for patients, partly because it's unfamiliar, partly because everybody does things together. No one can stand about in a schizophrenic stupor waiting for something to happen. Patients and nurses can play together in the same team, and the nurses get a sense of achievement in as much as they hold the team together, and yet it's nice for the patients to be engaging in exactly the same sports as everybody else, to play outside teams, and to sit down and have a meal with them afterwards. This game is unfamiliar to nearly everybody. Therefore, by definition, it can be called an excellent game. Not only is it rather dangerous, but men and women can play together. Perhaps that's why it is dangerous. A strange thing, but if you give a violent patient strenuous game to play, an implement to play it with, and he won't do any harm. In fact, his temper improves a great deal. But do keep the sexes mixed. We seem to be dropping the ball a lot. It's meant to be an aerial game, but that comes with skill and practice.